So you've been enjoying surviving in medieval dynasty, farming, hunting, and building up wherever you decided to call home. But now you're looking to take it to the next level. Let's learn how to turn your home into a village. So let's quickly go over what this guide will cover. First, we're going to take a look at the Management tab and see what kind of information it gives us. Next, we're going to talk about how to get more villagers and the requirements you need. And finally, we'll take a look at how to manage your workers and assign them different roles. Note that this guide will not cover farming, as that will be covered in its own separate video. Going into your tab menu and opening up your Management tab, let's take a look at the key information it's going to give us. On the left-hand side, we can see any villagers that we have in our village. But for now, let's focus on the right side of the screen and see what information the game is giving us. We can see our development level. Now this relates directly to how many buildings our village can hold. This can be raised by following the main quests assigned to you within your journal. Next, we can see our total Dynasty Points. Now, these points are very important because they determine how many villagers you're allowed to have in your village. Reaching certain thresholds will allow you to recruit more and more villagers. For example, 50 points allow you to have 1, 100 will allow you to have 2, and from there you're going to need more and more to have additional villagers. To gain more Dynasty Points, you'll need to complete quests, with the main quest giving you much more Dynasty Points than, say, small tasks for neighbors. Next, we'll be able to see the required resources we have to be able to keep our villagers happy. This includes food stored at food storages, and wood, which includes logs, firewood, and sticks stored within your resource storage. The number on the right within parentheses can show you how many resources your village is currently using per hour. Note that this is within in-game time and not real-world hours. Now, if you're running low on supplies and don't have enough, the mood of your villagers will slowly decrease until they leave your village. It's also important that in winter, the amount of wood you're going to need per hour is going to increase, so be prepared for that. Next, let's look at taxes. The left side indicating how much your taxes are, and the right in parentheses will be the debt that you owe in previous taxes. Now, taxes are due every year at the start of spring, and these can be paid by going to the starting village and talking to your main point of contact there. And whatever you don't pay off will become debt the following year. After it becomes debt, you have another year to pay it off before you start losing Dynasty Points on unpaid taxes. Now let's take a look at managing and recruiting workers for your town. When visiting other towns, you can find workers that can be recruited to your village. You can either find them by their compass icon, or by pressing left alt in their vicinity. While holding left alt, you can also see their various stats for different skills. These stats are directly correlated to jobs that you can assign them, with higher skills giving you faster production rate or returning more resources from harvesting. Now, to actually recruit a villager, you're going to have to do a few things. First, you're going to need to talk to them enough that their approval gets to 70% with you. You'll also need enough Dynasty Points to be able to recruit a villager. If you don't have enough at the moment, they'll tell you how many you need to be able to recruit more villagers. And finally, you'll need a house with an open bed. Note that in this case, beds for 2 people count as 1, as each NPC wants their own separate bed, and NPCs won't take beds within your own player house. Now that you've recruited someone, it's time to give them a job. Jobs can be assigned to villagers via the Management tab. Selecting one and then pressing F will open the details for that worker. From there, you can click on the Workplace section, and pressing F once more will allow you to select the building for them to work at. Once you've selected the building, you'll need to pick one of the worker spots, and finally, if a building has more than one profession available, you'll have to select which one you want them to work on. Keep in mind that different professions at the same building can use different skills. For example, a hunting lodge will either use the hunting skill for hunting, or the survival skill for gathering. Taking a closer look at jobs, there are 2 main categories for them. Jobs that gather you resources, and jobs that will take those resources and turn them into crafted items. Note that you can also assign workers to handle fields for your farm. That will be covered in another video. Currently, resource harvesting jobs take all collected resources and deposit them in the correct storage locations. If, however, that storage location is full, they will no longer contribute resources to that storage. This is important because your village-wide resources are based on what are inside your correct storages. For crafting type jobs, your workers will automatically get resources from these storages and craft items at a set rate per hour, and crafted items are then placed back within resource storage or food storage. For crafting jobs, you also have to set up what items you want your workers to focus on. From the management screen, open up your building tab and assign what percentage of production you want assigned to each item. This is something you're going to have to keep an eye on, because even if you don't have resources for part of the items that you want to produce, that production percentage will still be used and just won't create anything. At the time of creating this guide, there are some things to note. For most jobs, there is a tool required for them to do their duties. This includes stone axes for lumberjacks and iron pickaxes for people at the mine. The developers, however, have removed this requirement for now. Also, it seems regardless of how many resources are in the proximity of a building, the gather rate does not seem to change. An example being this woodshed with almost no trees around it versus this woodshed that I built directly in the forest. Also, although workers do walk towards their buildings to do their job, they do not actually need to be in the area of the building to craft or gather it. This means constructing resource harvesting buildings far away from your town, besides giving your villagers a little bit of exercise, will not affect how many resources you gather for the day. This includes them getting stuck and never actually reaching their building. A final note is that some jobs are not actually implemented yet. For example, storage keepers at resource storages don't actually do anything currently, and should be avoided when assigning jobs. And finally, I just want to give a big thank you to everyone who's been supporting my videos. I got a lot of great feedback from my last one, and I really appreciate it. Be sure to leave a comment on what you'd like me to cover next. Until then, continue enjoying Medieval Dynasty.